It was supposed to be a quiet, healing week. My 3-year-old son, Leo, had just been diagnosed with severe pneumonia. His little lungs were struggling, his fever was spiking, and the doctor's orders were crystal clear: absolute rest, a strictly sterile environment, and zero stress. My husband and I packed up our essentials and drove down to our private beach house. It was a secluded sanctuary where we could monitor Leo's breathing, give him his nebulizer treatments, and let him rest without the chaos of the city. We had just settled in, and Leo had finally fallen into a fragile, exhausted sleep, when the sound of heavy tires crunched on the gravel outside. I peered through the window, my heart dropping into my stomach. A massive caravan of vehicles had pulled into our driveway. Doors flew open, and out poured my parents, followed by a chaotic sea of aunts, uncles, and cousins, 13 people in total. They were carrying coolers, beach chairs, and suitcases, laughing and shouting as if they had just arrived at an all-inclusive resort. Before I could even process the intrusion, my mother burst through the front door, shouting about how perfect the weather was. I immediately put my hand up, whispering urgently for them to keep it down. I quickly explained the situation. Leo was incredibly sick with pneumonia, his immune system was compromised, and we could not have guests. I begged them to find a local hotel, offering to even help them look for one. But my mother just waved her hand dismissively. She told me I was overreacting, that family comes first, and that the beach house was plenty big enough for everyone to share. Within minutes, the peace of our sanctuary was shattered. Music started playing, blender blades whirred in the kitchen, and relatives began tracking sand and germs all over the house. Panic and anger flared inside me. My child's health was being actively threatened by their sheer selfishness. I looked at my husband, and without needing to speak, we knew we had to protect our son. If they wouldn't leave, we would completely isolate ourselves. We carried Leo into the master wing of the house, which had its own attached bathroom and a small kitchenette area. Then, we went into action. We walked through the hallway and locked every single interior door that separated our wing from the rest of the house. Every door was locked tight. We barricaded ourselves inside a safe zone. For the next 3 days, our beach house became a psychological war zone divided by locked wooden doors. On the outside, 13 people treated our home like a free hotel. They cooked massive meals, threw garbage everywhere, and loudly complained about how inhospitable and dramatic I was being. My mother repeatedly pounded on the locked doors, demanding that I unlock them so my aunts could see the view from our balcony, or so they could use our master shower. They rattled the doorknobs, yelled insults through the wood, and sent a barrage of toxic text messages accusing me of ruining the family vacation. On our side of the locked doors, the world was entirely different. It was a quiet, focused medical clinic. We tuned out the muffled shouting and focused entirely on our baby. We ran the nebulizer, administered antibiotics on a strict schedule, used cool cloths to break his fever, and held him through his coughing fits. We barely slept, taking turns watching his chest rise and fall, ensuring his oxygen levels didn't drop. The locked doors weren't just boundaries, they were a shield protecting our sick child from a wave of careless, germ-ridden chaos. By the 4th day, the shouting outside finally stopped. Through the window, we watched the caravan of cars pack up and speed away in a huff, leaving behind a mountain of trash and a shattered relationship. But as I looked down at Leo, whose fever had finally broken and who was smiling for the first time in a week, I didn't care about the family drama. Locking those doors was the moment I realized that being a parent means drawing a hard line in the sand, no matter who is standing on the other side.